Welcome back everyone, it's me Derpy. So today I'm going to be taking a look at Melt versus Vaporize Comp on Hutao and answer the question on the title and the thumbnail. Be sure to send this video to all your friends who are planning on getting Hutao. They should know everything in this video. And this video is going to be pretty detailed, so I'll try to simplify everything as much as I can. Just as a reminder, these are all speculations because we don't exactly know how Hutao's kit works just yet. But all the information I did get are from the serial crafting community and the Hutao main Discord. So I put a link to all those below. If you're interested in serial crafting, you should definitely go give them a read. Before we start, consider subscribing and let's get started. Before I even start talking about Vaporize or Melt, I need to talk about gauge value theory. I can make a whole hour-long video talking about this, so I'll try to summarize up really quickly in this video for you guys. And do not skip this part of the video. It's very important to what I have to talk about later. I repeat, do not skip this part of the video. Each character's elemental attacks has a value attached to it. We measure that value in U and we call it the gauge value. So everything we do in this game that involves element has to do with these gauge value. And for our sake, we're only going to be looking at two of the calculations, the Vaporize and the Melt for these gauge values. And it's pretty simple. We grab the gauge value of the element that's on the enemy, which in our case would be Hydro or Cryo, and we subtract it from the gauge value of the Pyro attack. But there's a special rule for this as well. When we do Vaporize, the Pyro gauge value gets cut in half, and when we do Melt, the gauge value on our Pyro gets doubled. So here are some examples in game. If we hit this Ruin Guard with Kaya E, which has a 2U gauge value of Cryo, and then we just hit the Ruin Guard again with Diluc E to cause a Melt reaction, the formula would be 2U minus 1U times 2, leaving us with 0U, removing the element on the enemy. If we switch over to Vaporize here, we hit the enemy with a Barbara auto attack, which is a 1U Hydro, and we hit him again with a Diluc E, which is a 1U Pyro again. The formula will come down to 1U Hydro minus a 1U Pyro, but divided by 2. Leaving us with 0.U of Hydro still on the enemy, and we can see that in game the enemy still has a Hydro element attached to him. Again, this is very simplified and I can make a whole video on this. Comment down below if you don't understand how this works. I'll try to explain it better in like a couple more sentences, but the general gist, this is how it works. And comment below if you guys do want to see a video on gauge value theory. It's very interesting and it's pretty much one of the most important bits of theory crafting. So what would be the gauge value on Hutao's charge attack? We don't know that yet. We actually need her to be released to test that. But if we look at the animation on her charge attack here, we see that she does a normal attack into the charge attack. The normal attack will pretty much be guaranteed to be a 1U Pyro, while the charge attack could be a 2U Pyro, but most likely it's going to be a 1U Pyro. For the characters, I didn't really include Diona, Chichi, or Barbara because they heal a little too much, and it's really not important in this video because I'm mostly interested in the elemental reactions. So I don't really gonna go over these characters, they're just better characters than them at applying elements. For Vaporize Comp, there's two pretty good options to pick from, Mona and Shinchu. Mona can apply Hydro on the E damage over time and explosive damage when the E timer runs out. And Shinchu, most of his Hydro application is going to come from the Rain Sword from auto attacking, and just a little bit from his Rain Sword surrounding him as well. And both of these abilities have a gauge value of 1U Hydro, and we are going to be assuming that Hutao has a 1U on normal and charge attack for 1U Pyro. Let's start off with Shinchu. If we ult then E, we will already have a 1U Hydro applied on the enemy. So if we go in with a charge attack, we will Vaporize on the normal attack. That will cause a reaction to happen, which will be 1U minus 1U divided by 2, which equals 0.5U, still leaving 0.5U of Hydro on the enemy. And the Rain Sword will now pretty much hit the enemy and reapply that 1U Hydro again. and then after we charge attack with 1 U, we'll be left with 0.5 U of Hydro again. What this basically means is that we can do this over and over again and not have to worry about the Hydro not being on the enemy. Mona works about the same, and she just applies Hydro basically at the end of the charge attack cycle, which is still fine again since we're only taking with 0.5 U of Hydro each time we do a charge attack. This is not what actually makes Vaporize that much better, but let's just look at a Melt comp now and you'll understand why Melt sucks. Now that we've seen how easy it is to Vaporize on Hutao, let's look at how hard it is to Melt with Hutao. For Melt comp, we really want to have two options here, Kaya and Ganyu. The way Ganyu ult works is it drops a total of 15 icicles in total during the 15 seconds, and it targets a random enemy if they have not been targeted in the last 4 icicle drops. If there is no enemies the icicles can target, it will drop it randomly, but can still hit a target if it does drop on them. This means Ganyu is really good at applying cryo with many enemies in the area, but worse when the amount of enemy drops to 1 or 2. Kaya ult does 13 hits total, but because of something called internal cooldown, it only applies cryo on hits 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 12, and 13. What this means is that there's going to be a downtime between cryo being applied on the enemy and us just standing there doing nothing because we can't hit them during that time. Because if we do hit them during that time, we'll be applying pyro to the enemy and that will just mess everything up. And the way gauge value works is that if you have pyro on them and you want to get rid of it with a cryo, it will actually take like 2 hits with a 1 U cryo. It's gauge theory stuff, but basically what it means is that you have to just kind of stand there and wait for cryo to be applied again. But here comes the kicker. None of those things I said even matters anymore because it's not actually possible to melt on the charge attack. As I said before, to keep a cryo on the enemy, we need a 3U cryo to be on the enemy to counter a 1U pyro. And guess what? No cryo character in this game is available to apply a cryo greater than 2U right now. And you might be thinking, how is that an issue? Can we just apply cryo again? Well, let's go back and take a look at the charge attack animation. If we pause right here, we can see that we are doing a normal attack before the charge attack. Yes, that auto attack right before the charge attack will actually do melt and remove the cryo on the enemy. And because of the way we can't apply cryo fast enough, our charge attack won't actually melt. That means our damage is basically gone now if we're going to be using a melt comp because we can't do a charge attack melt. There's some grace though because I do hear some rumors saying that they got rid of the normal attack on the charge attack, but that's rumors and I'll take it with a grain of salt. So what does this all mean? It basically means that the current Hutao will never work in a melt comp just because we can't melt off charge attacks. And the consistency of doing fast pyro normal attacks won't also never work as well. So the melt comp is dead. But what if I tell you it's not dead? Well, let me introduce you to freeze melt. So I had like this whole section like, oh but wait, there's actually a way to melt, it's called freeze melt. But during the recording of this video, the Hutao main series crafters in the Discord basically, most of them, not all of them, have basically dropped this theory just because of Hutao's Blood Blossom affecting the aura of freeze and hydro. If aura is like element, it's something else, I'm not going to explain it, but yeah, the series basically dropped by the Hutao main Discord, and since they dropped it, and they did a lot more series crafting than I did, I'll just not include this here as well. But I'll just leave it on the table for now. It could work in real life testing after we test it when Hutao comes out, and it does work. I'll just make another video on it. But for now, it's on the table. It doesn't really work, so I'm not going to really include it. And I had another whole section about talking about weapons and like look at the damage between freeze melt and vaporize. But since freeze comp is not a thing anymore for now, at least, I just gonna skip this section as well. To summarize, Vaporize is better just by the fact that you can't even make a melt comp of Hutao right now. So what does this all mean? We're only left with a couple options for builds, and of course we can theory craft more build options, but here's a few that I just included. We have the Vaporize comp, we have the Mono Pyro comp, and this crazy comp that the Hutao main Discord is brewing up right now. It's very interesting. It looks pretty promising. You might be asking what kind of comp you should go with now, and for now I will be recommending a Vaporize Comp. And if you're free to play, you might have a few Dragon's Bane. If you don't, you can use something else, but Dragon's Bane at high refinement will actually out damage a deathmatch. So if you're free to play and you have a Dragon's Bane, do consider using Dragon's Bane in a Vaporize comp. It's going to be very good. I'll come back to the Freeze Melt comp after Hutao release and is tested and theorized to be working. If you want to see a video of how this crazy team comp could work, then leave in the comments below. I'll try to explain it the best I can. For everyone that was planning on going for a Melt comp, I'm sorry to shatter your dreams. It's not possible. Melt comp is currently dead at the moment. And again, send this video to your friends that are planning on getting a Hutao. They should know about all this information. And thank you guys for watching this video. I want to try something new and go a little bit deeper into the game mechanics and tell you guys that Melt didn't work instead of saying like Melt doesn't work. And I want to ask you guys, do you like these theory type videos? Because if you do, I'll make more of them in the future. If not, I'll just go back to making more generic guide videos. If you guys did enjoy this video, consider subscribing and liking, and have a nice day.